G'day, Stephen Carey from offthegreenknowers.com again. Bit of a garden update, bit of a general update. This one's actually about food. What you're staring there is our little tomato plants that we put in about 5 weeks ago. Check them out. We call this Tomato Alley. Yeah, they're up at head height. They're bloody amazing, mate. Tomatoes. We wound up, and this is something I suggest to some people who live in climates that it can be a little bit dodgy. We wound up doing a lot of tomatoes because they're the sort of food stuff that if they grow well, if you find something that grows well, you maybe want to overkill it a little bit so that you can preserve and do the bottling and stuff like that. It's no good growing a million carrots. You know, tomatoes are something you can actually do something with as far as store and preserve fairly easily. So that's the tomatoes. We put a heap of tomatoes in. I'm going to pan around. We got them going everywhere. Tomatoes there. We got tomatoes around here. Tomatoes everywhere. We even put a few in over there. A couple over there. We got the tomatoes. We put a couple more in over there. We pulled a couple of the brassicas out that were going a bit crook, so we put tomatoes in there. And the ones in the buckets over here, they're going good. We had a bit of a competition going between the buckets. These ones are not too bad, but they're not growing quite as good. They're hidden up against the house, so they're not getting as much sun. But yeah, as far as foodstuffs go, you know, putting food together that grows in your area that you can do something with is a really good idea. We actually we have no problem with things like beetroots and spinach, and I mean, we got a heap of stuff going. In the pipes we've got the lettuces that you've seen, a million lettuces. We have no problem in our region. We do the lettuces and bok choy and pak choy and stuff that I've said a few times, as well as a lot of herbs and spices in the pipes, and they work real well and they turn around really quickly and you can do something with them. I think that's the key too. You need to be able to put stuff in the ground. Doesn't matter whether it's perpetual spinach or, you know, celery. We got lots of celeries going over there. Stuff that you can chop up and throw into a brew. It gives you product that you can actually hang on to. You know, there's nothing worse. I mean, we feed the chooks a lot of excess, but a lot of people probably overgrow produce they can't do anything with, and they wind up having to not throw it out, but, you know, I mean, we give away a lot of stuff. We've changed our nutrients too for the hydroponic people. We're changed over to this stuff. Yeah, Complete. EG make it. There you go. EG Complete Hydroponic A and B. So we've changed over to that from the one we used to use, only because the one the Dutch Master we used to get is pretty hard to get hold of these days. I'm going to take you out here just for a split second. And actually, I'll show you the peppers. Peppers are going good. And again, vegetables that actually you can do something with. You can grow a pepper or a chili, and you can chop it up and bottle it up with the tomatoes, and you can put it into preserves and stuff like that. So you don't waste these sort of products. You know, you go to all the effort of growing them, but then you might wind up with too many, and you can only eat so many freaking carrots. You know, we got peppers and stuff going over here. Actually, look at that sucker. Yes, that's a zucchini, I believe. But yeah, so the stuff you grow, you really need to be able to use, and that's the key. Look at these. I want to show you these. These are actually watermelons, would you believe? And you wouldn't in central Victoria. And like I just said, you got to grow stuff that actually grows in your area. And some of the stuff in central Victoria is really hard to grow because the bloody climate's so wicked. But we've got watermelons actually flowering because they're in Kransky buckets, which are, or Kratny buckets. They're growing in a water solution. The water solution that we use, which used to be the Dutch Master, like I said, we've swapped over. But watermelons, they actually like a lot of water. So even if these suckers are sitting in 40-degree heat, they think they're in a really lush climate because they're in a water solution. And they're growing really, really well. I mean, they're throwing flowers, they're actually throwing fruit. Anyway, backing around here, we've got the pumpkins. Pumpkins are something that are really difficult to grow up here. These ones haven't been going for that long, and they're throwing throwing little fruit and stuff all over the place, and they've only been there a little while, and they're just really going good. And they're pretty much experimental. Fruit trees are going good. We've had a couple of failures. Anyone want a cat? There's the cat. What are you doing, cat? Yeah, cat's being very busy. The fruit trees are going good. They're getting up to like head height, which is really good to see. Over there we've got more fruit trees going. But yeah, this is more about the food you grow. You have to be able to do something with the food you grow, or you wind up with a whole heap of this stuff, which is really good. There's celery down there, there's spinach, silver beet, whatever you want to call it down there, and we chew up, you know. Kerry's always coming out and munging into bits and pieces and that with our meals. We have no problem in Central Victoria growing the greens. The greens are, we've got little bok choys and pak choys going up there. We've already harvested a heap of them, we eat a heap of them, but they grow really well. So what we've found is we tend to put in stuff that will turn over. Turn over meaning you either eat it or it can be dealt with. So we've put a ton of tomatoes and stuff in with the peppers so that we can actually use this stuff once it's ready to harvest, and whack it into some sort of form that we can store it. That way you can eat it through winter and all sorts of stuff like that. Anyone want a cat? Did I mention anyone want a cat? Alright. And I know setting this stuff up, you know, you're only going to sell one grandchild to get this stuff set up. But once you do, and I know the guys in the warmer climates with lots of rain, you haven't got this problem, but what we had to do is, seriously, we had to look at stuff that we could turn over and actually put into use as far as bottling or preserving or drying, because you seriously can't eat, like I said, 1,000 bloody carrots and potatoes and stuff are great if you're in that sort of climate, you know, good on you. But we can't. We sort of survive and thrive on greens and things like that. And when tomatoes that we put in this year turned around and wound up, you know, running like a beauty, we doubled up on the amount of tomatoes. I'm going to show you something we did this morning as I walk down here and give everyone a headache. We've been pulling stuff out of the hydro. It's got a few loose holes kicking around, which we have to fill in. Look at the peppers and chilies. There are peppers and chilies. Oh, Kerry's here. You want to say hello, Kerry?
Hi guys, how you going?
There's the boss.
Checking out this really
The boss came out because she saw me making a video. Am I in trouble?
Yep.
I am in trouble.
No.
So yeah, these peppers and chilies are going real well, eh?
They are, look at the flowers.
Yeah.
So they're going to have chilies everywhere, capsicums everywhere, zucchinis everywhere.
These suckers here, they are chilies, are they?
They're capsicums.
Capsicums, yes, I knew that.
Yeah.
Someone told me that was a capsicum row. We have tomato row, capsicum row, chili row.
Tomato alley.
I understand all this stuff. That, like I said, that sucker over there with the big leaves, that's actually a zucchini. We've got a lot of stuff that's going really well this year because of really weird things like the weather. Now down here, look at all these things. We did these this morning. About a dozen buckets. Recycled from the old stuff when we used to actually do a lot of container gardening up in the other property. And I decided to not only pull these out because the buckets weren't being used, but the compost that was in them. Oh, look at the cat. Anyone want a cat? Cat, piss off. Cat, oh look, it's digging a hole. Go.
No.
Oh no.
No.
Anyone want a cat? It's going really cheap. I'll even give you free freight, alright?
My goodness.
But yeah, these buckets we put into services, about a dozen of them actually. Put a heap of, when I was digging these out, I decided to recycle the potting mix and stuff that was in them. And there was a heap of these things over here, which were spring onions, I believe, were they?
No, they're leeks.
Ah, leeks. Yes.
We're trying to revitalise.
Yeah, those ones are trying to be rejuvenated, but there was a whole lot of leek bulbs. So around the other side, I recycled a couple other buckets into those. So it's amazing what you can do with the stuff that you put aside, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you go, bugger it, got a whole heap of space, got a whole heap of pots, got a whole heap of potting mix. Recycled it, sort of shoveled it out and pulled all the weeds out of it, and then put it back into situ in a new life. And those will be full of what tomorrow?
Tomatoes and peppers. Hey, did you see that I've got a Warrigal green I'm trying
Well, go and
Warrigal.
point it out. I'm not a bloody genius, all right?
This is a Warrigal green that I'm trying out in the hydro.
A Warrigal green.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure everyone just had a heart attack over that because that's amazing. What is a Warrigal green?
Oh, you'll be right.
What is it?
It's an Australian one.
Oh, right. Yeah, anyway. Kerry's got, look, we haven't got flowers going up here. Kerry wanders around and eats these things.
Not those flowers, I do.
No. But she does eat a lot of stuff straight out that's really weird that I don't touch.
Oh, you eat the strawberries before I get to them.
Yes, well, the strawberries aren't going. Anyone got any clues? Here we go. Back around, quick back around. Strawberries are going okay, but they just don't seem.
We're not getting jam out of them, are we?
No, they just don't seem to do their shit. Don't quite know what's going on there. But yeah, strawberries, average. Stuff like these, the lettuces, I mean, I can't emphasise this enough. If whatever your region tends to produce, hello Kerry, whatever your region tends to produce, you've got to think of a way to actually turn it into something that you can perhaps store. And that way you can throw, 20 tomato plants there instead of 5 and put them into service once they're ready for harvest, as far as plucking them, putting them in a boiler or whatever you do to bottle and actually make them usable in 3 months time. Nothing worse than creating all this stuff and then winding up having to turn around and go, the chooks have to get them. Things like these, what are they, Kerry?
Silver beef.
Silver beet. I mean, we mung a bit about it, but the chooks get probably more than what we get.
Well, that's alright, we're going around chook food.
But we have no problem with greens. Look at these tomatoes. Yes, did I mention that we do tomatoes? We must have about 20 tomato plants and they're all throwing fruit at the moment. It's really, really good. So as I pan around, we put a couple of these little rectangular ones back into service today. This is recycle. Yes, I know, a lot of you guys like recycle. There's not much in here at the moment, but we've put the containers and the stuff that was in the containers back into service. So yes, anything else you want to say, babe?
Oh no, I've just been looking up about how to preserve the watermelons that we're going to have a plethora of.
Yes, I think we'd be able to make a whole video on we grew watermelons in central Victoria. But yeah, you've got to look at what your area produces. Some people will go, well, yeah, I've got potatoes down, I've got carrots down, and yeah, that's all good. Onions, all the legumes. Legume?
No, they're not legumes.
They're not legumes. Hang on, Kerry. What are they?
Root vegetables.
Root vegetables. All right. They could be they could be friggin' legumes. Someone's got.
What is it? Pinus radiata.
That's it. Pinus radiata. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, you've got to look at what your area will produce, or what's easy to produce. And we had reasonable success with tomatoes and peppers and capsicum. And we've now decided that because this season, anyone want a cat? I'll mail it to you for free, alright?
No.
Alright? I'll even include one grandchild, okay? You can have it really cheap. Which grandchild do you want to give away, Kerry?
I haven't got one I want to give away.
You haven't?
No, I love all of
We
them.
got like about 20, what? I don't know, we've forgotten.
I don't know.
And you want to give one away?
No,
We could get a small price for
No.
it. Maybe $50.
no,
Buy a bit of potting mix.
no.
But yeah, you got to look at what you're growing, as far as what happens to be growing at that particular time of year. You can throw the greens that might be popping up and going like a boomer, tomatoes that might decide to go like a boomer one season, and really go overboard with that particular crop, thinking ahead and realising that you'll be able to do something with it as far as bottle, preserve or whatever, right? Rather than screw up, oh, I nearly said the F word again. Rather than frig around with maybe a patch of potatoes, we can all drive our hour down the street and grab a bag of potatoes for about $2. But things like tomatoes, which are pretty expensive, and stuff that will grow, that doesn't take any effort, you can just go overboard with them and have the plan to deal with them later. This is about survival, about preparation for preserving for the next season and stuff like that. Growing what you can't eat through the off season and doing something with it. I'm going to leave it at that, and it's cheers from Steve and
Where Are we going out now?
No.
Bye, guys.
You just say heaps more, I'm sure.
Oh, bye, guys. I was just thinking I'm going to do some cuttings of the mint.
The mint. Oh, the mint. Do you want to show them? Show them your
more.
mint.
Well, I keep harvesting it. But
Come on.
So I need more.
Stand around like a mullet while I'm doing all the work.
See, I've been harvesting it a lot. But I'm thinking I should do some cuttings and get some more plants going.
Yeah, I reckon.
I've got some chocolate mint cuttings happening and hopefully they'll go good, but I need some of these.
So at the moment, Kerry, we're doing the pipes, the static pipes, which are non-reticulated. We're doing wicking bed tomatoes. We're doing plain dirt tomatoes in the buckets that we're going to put in over there. We've got the hydro or the Cratney buckets that are way over there. No reticulation, just nutrient. We've got about 4 different types of system going here to make sure that in this arid, relatively arid and definitely bizarre climate, we wind up with shit to eat and shit to bottle. And
I'm going to make boozy fruit.
you're gonna what?
Preserve it in alcohol.
Keep walking right in front of the screen.
I'm going to make some preserves in alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just need more fruit.
More fruit. Well, the fruit trees are coming along okay. But anyway, cheers from Steve and cheers from...
Bye, guys.
Cheers
Have a
from...
good day. Oh,
cheers from...
Kerry. Cheers from Off the Grid in Oz.
You wonder why I don't let her make fucking videos. Oh, I said it!
Ah!
Go and sell a grandchild.
Bye,
Anyone
guys.
want a cat? It's free. Catch you guys.